see who's not needed in here. Maybe they took care of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that.
So you should probably start over.
I think that we'll just, you mean you wanna start over at the beginning of the letter?
The letter.
Oh, okay. To our commissioners, Pat and I would like to take the time to say thank you for considering the welfare of Marion County. We are sure that the events of the past month or so was not something any of you thought you would have to deal with. It's hard for us to believe that this is happening. To that end, we would like to offer our thoughts on this subject, understanding that reopening of the county may be left in your hands. We are not sure what constitutes an essential business or activity because of the various discrepancies we notice in all of this. It seems to us that business is essential in all of its varieties. Without business, there is no income for the cities or the state. I'm sure the medical profession has its reasons for providing its recommendations for the welfare of the public. At what point, though, is the county hamstrung from recommendations for the welfare of the public? At what point, though, is the county hamstrung from productive county to a dependent one? We are not sure that the exact truth is being told to the citizens of this country. We have set aside constitutional freedoms for a sense of security that probably can't deliver all that it promises, meanwhile racking up enormous debt for which the citizens will be on the hook. There will be many businesses that will not reopen for a variety of reasons. Customer base has been lost, debt cannot be serviced. The final straw in the thought process for staying open when closing was already being debated. Logistical problems in getting materials and goods to those in manufacturing or retail while still open during this event, tentative customers backing off their purchases, etc. Even the hospitals are fighting to stay open because the services they normally offer have been curtailed a great deal. We do not believe that there really is such a thing as a non-essential business, assuming it is a business that our Creator doesn't have a problem with. Since all these businesses contribute monetarily to the city, the county, and the state, either directly or indirectly, many small businesses do not have governmental programs backing them. Pat and I can say this for sure. Our business is essential to us, our church, our city, our county, our state, and our country. We believe it is essential for all to get back to work. Thomas Jefferson made these statements. To preserve their independence, we must not let our rulers load us with perpetual debt. We must make our election between economy and liberty, our profusion and servitude. I place frugality, among the first and most important of Republican virtues, and public debt as the greatest of the dangers to be feared. He was referring to our republic and not party. We know that difficult decisions are in the forecast for many. Balancing all of the elements of this county will require wisdom from our Father, and Pat and I pray His wisdom for all of you as you move this county back into productivity. And this is submitted by Daryl and Patricia Enos.
Very good letter. I would say amen to that.
So, having no other public comments or seeing any others, I'd like to move to the COVID-19 updates with Dee.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, there are no new cases to report in Marion County, and we're up to 91 individuals tested. However, several other tests have gone in since I've written this. Kansas, as of 4/26 at 10 a.m. yesterday, we had 3,174 cases, 485 hospitalizations, and 118 statewide deaths, and 23,053 negative tests. I have spoken with the 2 local hospitals where most of the testing within the county is being done, and at this point they feel they have adequate lab supplies to keep up with a possible increase in demand that may occur with movement into the next phase of reopening. The facilities also feel that at this time they have enough PPE to handle the positive wave that may occur with reopening. And the health department, we're also working with local providers in preparation of what that reopening may look like for Marion County if the governor defers back to the locals. I have been in touch also with the surrounding counties and seeing what they may choose to do. And I think we're pretty much all in agreement as to what the next steps might be for our counties, realizing that our county, Marion County, and some of our surrounding counties might be very different from other counties within the state. But aside from testing supplies, PPE, resources need to be available for surveillance, including contact tracing, and KDHE systems for contact tracing, and it will be requested if our local resources are unable to handle the load. Currently, Wanda, our RN, is working with investigations and surveillance, and she is checking the system twice daily for results, and that's 7 days a week she is doing that. She is also monitoring individuals daily who are in isolation and quarantine. Should she become overloaded, I plan to utilize Sherry, our WIC dietitian, to assist with the contact tracing. If the two of them become overloaded, then we will reach out to KDHE for their assistance. This is in place to handle a possible rise in cases with more movement. The stay-at-home order appears to have slowed cases within Marion County, and opening up, we might expect to see an increase in cases and contacts. Because once you have movement, you know, the contacts will increase. Each phase of reopening would be evaluated for a couple weeks, and depending on the outcome within the period, movement could either be forward to a more relaxed phase or backwards to a more restrictive phase. By using these mitigation strategies, our goal is to simply slow the transmission of the virus and particularly protect individuals at increased risk for severe illness and protect also the healthcare and critical infrastructure workforces. While waiting for the announcement of the next phase, I would like the individuals of Marion County to begin to prepare for their individual actions to be taken. I would like to challenge individuals to take on the responsibility for implementing actions not only within their households, but also within the public and the workplace. Employees and employers must work together in implementing actions that protect the workplace and their community. As mentioned earlier, I am preparing actions to put in place if the governor's orders do not appear to fit Marion County, or if her orders allow individual county decisions. And I guess I would, after talking to other counties, the other healthcare providers within our county, I would like to ask you as commissioners, in representing the public, your thoughts on reopening and realizing that, you know, it's not going to be everything back to normal. There would still be some restrictions in place. So do you guys, as commissioners, have thoughts on this?
Deidre, this is Ken. You hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I can.
You know, if the mandate does go off, I'm in favor of, you know, at least implementing phase one. We got people that are really hurting out here that need to even find out whether they have a business left, I guess, at this point. So, you know, with all of I think that the public at this point in time has a pretty good feel about what they need to do. Are there gonna be people don't follow that, yeah, we know that, but I would think a majority of people at this point know how to take care of themselves, how to social distance, you know, stay away if you don't feel good, all those different things. So, I'm one to get open as quickly as possible, doing it, you know, in a safe way.
Deidre, this is Diane, and I'll second everything that Kent said. I think it's time that we move on and just get open. Otherwise, we won't have a county very much longer. And I do believe that the personal responsibility needs to fall back on the individuals. I think we've done all we can do at this point, and we need to follow the bigger guidelines from the governor rather than implementing and burden our people with any additionals.
Deidre, this is Jonah. What I want to touch on is what you mentioned, to stay in line with the other counties. We gotta not pull the Hatfields and McCoys. We can't lock down our borders to somebody else. Ford County is being harassed right now by Trego County, and they're trying to quarantine people over there, as Chase County did not too long ago for Sedgwick County. And I think that kind of started the whole governor order to begin with, to get the counties to get more in line with each other. So we have to maintain where we don't all get out of whack with each other. Otherwise, it'll show that we can't handle it, and it'll get back to the governor making decisions for us.
Right, and that's why I thought, I have been in touch with Morris, Dickinson, Saline, McPherson, Butler, and Chase, and also Harvey, and we're all kind of on that same page. We kind of want to have a kind of a like thing, so that when you move from one county to the other, it's not so confusing.
I see Randy's mic on. I know.
Yeah, I think we all, like Kim said it pretty well, is we all understand what we're supposed to do, and there's gonna be some that will never do it, and the new normal is from here on. So I'm agreeing with you to, you know, try to maintain some sort of normalization between our counties, because I think all of us commute between some of those counties that you mentioned. So, yeah, I'm with you.
And I think people need to understand too that, like, what's happening in Ford County, you have a case in a facility that works closely together, you're gonna see a cluster or numerous cases built off of that. And I think we need to also respect that. If we do see some of that in Marion County, that doesn't mean that. I think we need to have a positive response. If that would happen to a business in Marion County, we still need to support that business and not look to them, you know, in a shameful way.
Deidre, I just have.
Once we start opening up, we could see some clustering in some facilities or businesses within our county.
Deidre, I had a question. You know, we've got these two lakes in the county, and I don't think it's been a problem yet, but I've heard over at the McPherson County Lake, which is real close to Marion County, that they've just been inundated with campers and people walking around, and they can't keep them apart hardly. You know, we will have to deal with that on the county lake side, but I can see the reservoir starting to get inundated. I was out there one day last week, and they were parking boat trailers on the blacktop. So, and I know they said this weekend at El Dorado they had several thousand people out there. So that would be a spot that I think could be an issue for Marion County if if there was a virus problem.
Yeah, and that's something we'll have to, because I was not planning on extending that lake order. I was, going to have something so that if it would, like this coming weekend, if we start to see a problem, then as I mentioned before, we might have to restrict again.
So do you know, is the Corps, do they have any restrictions out there? Of course, a lot of their campgrounds aren't even open yet.
Right, and I don't, Randy would have to, answer that, but because I'm not aware of what the Corps has in place, I think, we're kind of to the point where we need to take individual responsibility, and I feel like Marion County, we have done a good job with, most of the community has been. I see people out wearing masks. I see people, waiting 6 feet apart. And I think I would like, and maybe Isaac, of course, I'll be talking with Isaac, in this week and letting you know on Thursday what we've come up with, but it was my plan to not extend that order. What are the rest of your thoughts on that?
I think you touched on that earlier by, opening it up, but, keeping in mind that it could go either way. It could become less restrictive as long as you didn't start seeing things, or more restrictive if you did. So we need to have some sort of snapback provision in play for the first step for sure. That's what I said last week too, so I'm still right there. Randy still has his mic on. Randy, do you have?
Well, I can tell you the last 2 Saturday nights I've been in City of Newton watching the public over there. The first Saturday night 2 weeks ago I did see a lot of masks and stuff people using. But this Saturday night, the population on Main Street grew quite a bit. They're just having the road rallies of cars going up and down from north to south end of town. It was almost like he was back in the 70s and the 60s. And there's a lot of people just parked out along the sides wanting to enjoy some freedom of some type. And yet they was practicing, a lot of them was social distancing. So, yeah, I think that the public's ready to lighten up and see if we can get things to rolling, and especially like you were talking about first off was business, see if we can get some business going back in, because that is our vitalization of our county. So, yeah, I'm ready to do something.
I think we need to, no matter what we do, I think we still need to encourage the best practices, social distancing. Wear masks if you want to, not that you need to. If you want to, you can't hurt. Those sort of things.
And the good hand washing for 20 seconds. And I would encourage for the first, if things open up, I would encourage people to continue to wear masks. And I would also encourage people who have, like the elderly or those individuals who have comorbidities or other medical issues, that they maybe only travel for essential things, or have someone else, because those are the individuals that it seems to affect harder. So, I think it's kind of an individual, and like we have all mentioned before, there are some that will follow this very well and some that may be lax, but I would hope those people would, if they have any family members with health conditions, that they would respect them and not necessarily bring it home to them.
Yeah, and I think some of this is going to be public. It's going to be some people, the reason why we're talking about opening up businesses and what we can do on better accreditations to saying that businesses trying to be safe, whatever, is because some of those people already have it made up in their mind that they're not going to take that risk, you know, without some sort of evidence stating that it's okay to come here.
Right. I think it's gonna take a lot of education, and even I was talking to a couple at the local clinics, you know, they're so used to people, you know, driving up on their car and getting their services that people have to trust that the business or the place is taking the precautions necessary to prevent the spread. I mean, we even saw a decline. We had immunization scheduled and a lot of people canceled because they were in fear of that. So it's up to the businesses and the facilities to start planning, make sure they have things in place that they can take action. Make sure you have cleaning supplies, make sure that you have a plan as to who's gonna clean, how you're gonna treat your customers, and have that all in place. Now's the time to be working on it and getting the information out to the public, how you're doing that so that they will feel comfortable coming back in your business.
I just want to say, I think it wasn't much of an adjustment for us when the governor took over. I think we were headed on the right track. We didn't overstep any bounds. We didn't, so I'm sure we will continue to do that through the walkout of this thing too, as we didn't take it to any extreme. In fact, it wasn't a real shock when the governor did it because it aligned with us pretty well. It just made the rest of the state align with us too.
Except when it comes to her closing of the church. She was probably out of line there. I
Yeah, and
would
that
say
should have just been left as a recommendation,
Exactly.
as you know, try to protect your patrons.
I think as a rural county though, we're gonna have to take, I think in the end, it's gonna be up to us to move the ball forward. At this point, I think our governor's probably, her eyes are on 5 or 6 counties that put her in office, I might say. But yeah, we certainly want to be able to take a step forward, and if we need to take a step back, then we'll be prepared to do that.
So, Deidre, are you planning on making a bullet point on your thoughts on moving forward, or are you looking something from us?
I have something in mind, but I wanted to hear from your thoughts. And I'm kind of waiting on the governor because I've heard some of her plans, but they aren't public, and that comes through Randy's office, so he can tell you what he wants on that. But also in talking with the other counties around us, I don't think that a lot of them, and I don't want to speak for them and speak out of turn, but for Marion County, I don't foresee the stay-at-home order unless something happens within, the next week. But I'm not sure how that's gonna look. I mean, I've discussed that with our health providers, but that's about all I can tell you.
Okay.
Cause I hate to at this time commit without seeing her plan first.
Okay, so before we have any guidance to the communities, we need to wait for that, right? Okay.
Right,
I just-
but I would encourage everybody to start planning individually and start being prepared
Okay, how,
for what movement within the county is gonna look like for their homes, for their offices, for their workplace, for the community.
Deidre, we need to some way then to communicate to the public that they need to be in those type of preparations, so they'll be ready to go when they can. I don't know whatever platforms we need to use to get that word out, but, I mean, we need to do that fairly quickly.
Right, I was on a call to the cities on Friday and I encouraged them, I sent out, some workplace, actions and information on, for businesses, mitigation strategies. So that went out to the cities on Friday.
See Randy?
Yeah,
Okay. I always look for your mic, Randy. I wanna make sure you get an opportunity to talk. So, did we get the updates on, we have no new cases, everybody had the press release. Do we have any other recoveries?
We don't get that.
We got one last
At
week.
this, yeah. And the recoveries is kind of I won't be regularly reporting on that because the recoveries is kind of a gray area.
Well,
And that's how it is with all, like Lyme's disease, Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Are you totally recovered? Are you totally at the place where you were before the disease pertussis? You know, you may still have that cough. So can we say you're totally recovered? You aren't infectious, but are you totally recovered?
Deidre, though, don't they, if they test negative, you know, wouldn't that be what you would go off of then?
Yeah.
We, yeah, if we tested, but we don't test. It used to be they had to have 2 negatives before they were considered negative, but that was using tests. And when there was a shortage of tests. So what we go by is they have to be, like we either go 7 days from the onset of their first symptom or 72 hours fever-free without medication, or they're well before they're released, whichever's longer. So that's kind of, and it varies. You know, we're seeing that certain age groups, it's taking up to 2.5 weeks. Certain age groups that get over it quicker in 7 days. So it's kind of, you know, it varies.
so let me frame the same question in a different way. So how many do we have that are no longer infectious? Not recovered, but no longer
Well-
infectious.
No longer infectious.
Mhm.
They are, I would say probably all of them.
Okay. Well, that's good. There's no reason to let our guard down, but
That's good news. We
Yeah.
need good
we
news.
need
Yeah.
good news at times.
Yeah.
And I think that's an
Yeah.
important element that we need to track as well, because if we don't have any known infectious out there.
Then the other item, based on the press release this week, was there any underlying conditions?
will, at this time,
Uh,
I will probably not, comment on that.
Okay,
So I would also add, I heard on the news just this morning in New York, I don't know, it was a massive amount of people that died. And it was on Fox News that out of those thousands, however there were, 98% of them had underlying conditions. That's very
And
interesting
that
to me.
is, yeah, and that is what we're finding, you know, it's the elderly, statewide, you know, national. That's why we need to protect, you know, all the time there's more research coming about. And, you know, I've read several articles where diabetes, if you have that, that's, a greater risk for complications.
yeah,
Heart disease, you know, heart disease was on the top of the list, but now diabetes is kind of moving up the list.
there's been a few studies that have also shown, the blood clots in the lungs, pulmonary embolisms, is that right, Deidre? That
Yes.
are contributing to a lot of the deaths.
Right. And they are finding that the sooner, they're doing a lot of testing, I mean, you know, not only temperatures, but the oxygen in the blood, and if it gets at a certain place, they're saying, okay, that's the time to transfer out of some of the hospitals and get them to a more critical facility that can handle that, and the outcome tends to be better. So,
Deidre, do you know how much, were any of our patients or any of the doctors in the state using that hydroxychloroquine?
I know that there are some in the state that are using that. I did just pull up an article, and I haven't had a chance to read it, that it may not be the best to use. I do know that it's very, you have to monitor it. If you have a patient on it, there's certain tests you have to monitor, and the dosage is, you know, kind of a not a cut and dry dosage for everyone. But they are still working on a vaccine, and my thoughts are there will be some type of restriction until the vaccine comes out, which probably won't be for another year or around February. But, and when I say restriction, it just may, you know, it won't be back to normal, like where everything's lifted. The recommendation, I think, of people social distancing and wearing masks will be for quite some time.
Okay. Following up on that, what is your plans or thoughts on needing to take temps before entering places? How useful that is? If the symptoms continue to change. It's from a KDHE report.
Right, and it used to be that temperature was the main indicator. However, now they kind of loosened that up, and individuals only need like 2 of the symptoms to be tested for it, because they're finding that people have mild symptoms. And I would encourage people to still continue to take temperatures, but I would like to encourage employers, don't make your employees come to work if they're sick. I mean, you really have to get to know your employees, and even just cold-like symptoms, you want to evaluate those and, you know, consider those, because they're finding people can have milder symptoms. I don't know if that answered your question.
No, it's just, in your guidelines, just making sure that this is maybe something put forward.
This is Dave. You know, I think there's gonna be a lot of common sense that we need to be using going forward. We've all been practicing good habits, and we need to keep practicing and not letting them fall by the wayside. This common sense what it's coming down to.
Yes, common sense, good hand washing, and like you said, I think the monitoring of people in the workplace, I think that will continue or should continue. Cause it only takes one positive to come in. And I realize some workplaces you can't be 6 feet apart, and that's it appears to be happening.
Deidre, was there any monitoring done of essential businesses by the health department? Specific businesses?
No, that was something that the governor issued, and they, there was a website, the Kansas Essential Function Framework, that determined what businesses stayed open and what businesses did not. And they could email.
No, actually, I didn't state my question right. I was just saying, does the health department ever spot check an essential business to see that people are, you know, social distancing, that they're keeping things clean and those kind of things?
At this time, I don't believe they have, unless they start to get a cluster, and then they may go in and help. As far as enforcing that, anytime we got a complaint, we were passing those on to local law enforcement, because the health department wasn't the enforcing agency.
As we move forward with that, maybe we ought to, at least for the short term, until the governor's executive order is up, maybe these are our friends, so I mean, a friendly call maybe first before we go throwing the law at them.
Yeah, I don't think we want to become a policing county. I mean, that's kind of a real infringement right there.
We have made some phone calls, and, you know, just to places that have been reported, and we usually go over what, you know, the actions to take to make things safe, or to help decrease the spread.
Okay. Anybody else have anything further for Deidre? We got some background noise. No, like I said, Deidre, I think we hit the ground running at least a week ahead of the state. I'd like to stay ahead of the state in everything we do, just so that we're prepared, and I appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Randy?
Good morning. To follow up on one of the earlier questions, while you were talking, I called Kevin McCoy from the court. He says there's been no conversations about opening the court. So they're not even discussing it now, just so you have that answer.
Did you say the court?
The Corps.
Corps of Engineers.
Corps of Engineers, okay.
Or the reservoir. Last week I announced the Small Business Administration ran out of money. We all know that. They are back and taking applications because new funding has been put in place. Before that happened, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans approved 116 loans for Kansas, which totaled over $25 million. And the economic injury disaster loans advances, these are the ones they don't pay back. They handed out over $24.2 million in the state of Kansas. The CARES Act is part of this program. The CARES Act went back in to revamp their requirements and pieces in there to allow individuals who are self-employed to apply for the CARES Act, which is mostly like beauticians and barbers and things like that, because they generally rent a chair to somebody, it's just their building. So they'll be able to help some folks out that way as well. And as of last Friday, there have been 235 unemployment claims in Marion County since the beginning of the COVID outbreak. Today, KDHE implemented the COVID-19 response efforts to begin decontaminations of the N95 mask for respirators. This is where the medical providers and the first responders can have their N95 respirators decontaminated for reuse at no cost. There'll be a pickup and delivery process put in place. We should get that information today. So we encourage those medical providers and first responders that are using the N95 mask, just the N95 mask, are the only ones that can do this to when they're through with it, put it in a paper bag, put the name on the bag. That way we make sure we get it back to the right people. We are anticipating a briefing from Governor Kelly later this week to release her plan. As we all know, her current executive orders end midnight on May 3rd. So we know she's got to do something soon. We expect it by the end of the week. If you have the opportunity, you can go online to KSNT at 2 o'clock, and that's when Governor Kelly does all of her live press briefings. But we anticipated by the end of the week, because that would give the local governments time to create their plan on how they're going to put it in place by the following Monday. That's all I have to add right now.
Randy, this is Kent. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
You know, along with the PPP program and CARES, SBA announced last week a Sba Disaster Loan that's unsecured loan up to $25,000. I think it's at 1 or 2% interest, and that's going to be handled direct through South Central Kansas Economic Development for our area. So, you know, we can refer people to them on that short application type thing. So I think Tina maybe got the information on that also. So.
Yes.
Well, Randy, you know, I've had a few talks with you, and you've been totally taking this by the horns, and I really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy. All right, I'm going to go to administrative business.
Okay, don't have a whole lot. We do have the minutes. In your package, you had some revenue reports, etc. Oops.
The next ones will start telling the story.
There's
And then we have the minutes of April 13th.
everybody have a chance to review the minutes? Any questions or concerns with the minutes? If not, I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Got a motion, a second by Dave. Kent? Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 5-0.
Okay.
If you want to.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
Action already.
Next item is.
We did have had a request to carry over 100 hours of vacation from the jailer, the jail administrator. He was not able to use it because of being short-staffed. So that takes board approval to reinstate those hours. And I hadn't gotten a written request from the sheriff, so I didn't know if you want to wait until we have that, or if you wanted to.
Well, I think in the past, we've approved those as long as they take them within the next 90 days, or
Right.
120 days, or whatever we've said.
I don't have a problem proving it.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and carry it over and that they utilize them within, what, 90 days?
Maybe extend that to 120 with all the,
Okay.
with the stuff going on now.
Well, I think the 90
It doesn't matter to
is
me.
coming out of this. But
I
and
said,
that's what
I
standard
said
is.
90, I guess I can restate my motion or just leave it.
Okay, if there's an issue with it, I guess they can reapply or something.
Okay.
I'll second it.
That's fine, for 90.
Yes, for 90.
Randy, that motion was to go ahead and confirm for to carry it over so that it could be used within 90 days. And it was seconded by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
5-0.
The other thing that I had, you had asked me to get some information and pricing for some sneeze guards. We do have that. We had a local contractor that came in, did measured in each office, tried to come up with a solution that would work to be able to create quickly and to work with our existing furniture. And Randy probably can't see it, but maybe we can move it over here in front of the camera, this little camera. You can see it, but I did get the pricing for those this morning.
Does that work?
Oh, okay.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
okay.
Of course, this one, right now, is just the frame. It doesn't have the plexiglass or glass in it. It does have a pass-through underneath. It could be used mounted permanently, or it could be temporarily mounted. We did have, for the treasurer's office, he did look at a design that would be more permanent and would have tempered glass instead of plexiglass. And so, I sent earlier, I believe, the pricing and everything to you by email, Randy. I may be able to pull it up too, so on the screen. Let me see.
So I have a question. Why would the treasurer's office be any different than any other office? If you're gonna do something permanent, why would we not treat all the offices the same? I mean, the personnel in each office, I think is equally as important, and I think we should be consistent.
High volume.
Real high volume and just the way that that's set up, the employees can't get away from people because they've only got that small area behind them where they sit.
But that's the way it is, even if you walk into the clerk's office or you walk into you're right there with the employee. What?
Register of deeds.
Registered, same thing.
Yeah.
You walk into, you get to the employee, and then, so I'm just asking, I don't understand how we're.
They
Doing
could be
different-
mounted permanently as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
It's just a matter of,
And are these adaptable? I know that the wood frame doesn't, it would be the weakest link at that point on, if you changed out from plexiglass to more of a tempered glass. But are these grooved right to make that adapt? I mean, those are some of the
to
questions.
change to tempered.
Yeah, if we make this investment, it becomes a permanent fixture, can we make it even more secure? Is that option available to us?
Yes, he originally was going to provide pricing for all of them to have tempered glass, but the weight of that and then the expense would be more than what
Right.
it is for plexiglass. And on these, if it did get scratched or something like that with plexiglass, we could easily add a new piece of material to it, whether it's tempered glass or plexiglass. But the frame is strong enough, I believe, to hold either one.
Okay.
And so my question wasn't about the plexiglass or the tempered glass, because it's a sneeze protection. It's not bulletproof, it's a sneeze.
Well-
So the plexiglass being the least amount, dollar-wise, I think is effective.
Well, yeah, for right now, but I mean, if, I'm also going back to our talks about security in the past. We've talked about security methods, security measures. I'm going to that, so I want to make sure that this is something adaptable for security, because we'll spend the money wisely.
Okay, so then I wanna make sure I fully understand. So we wanna design something that if we go into security, then that will be what will be utilized for the security.
It would,
Is
it
that
would
what
be,
you're saying?
it would be a piece of the chain, yeah.
I don't know how well that would work for security necessarily, because,
Of the wood.
I
Not
guess I
only
don't
just
understand
that.
any. You talking about bulletproof glass?
Well, just,
you would have, you know how upstairs they put a whole enclosed area in for the public, and they did a wall, like a firewall with bulletproof glass and those kind of things. And that was for security. And they do have a pass-through, and they have a way to speak through it, but it doesn't have any openings really. And that kind of defeats the purpose if you're looking at it for security from that standpoint. And you would have a lot more work to do in individual offices, because most of the entrances are, of those offices would have to be completely reworked, or you may not even be able to. So I don't know that that is ever going to necessarily be something you can do in all our individual offices without a huge remodel. So I don't know.
well, that's all I was going for, was trying to make sure we thought of dual purpose.
Right,
understand.
and I initially did think of that, but I don't know how you would work that with the way our offices are
This
designed.
design right here would not work for that, because if I was gonna come in to do something harm, I'd stick the gun right underneath there, or the knife or whatever. I mean, that would not,
We
it
gotta
would have to be
shorten it.
redesigned.
Well, that
Yeah.
could be brought down from where it is.
Yeah, you could have a 2-inch gap.
If you're just talking about paper.
But, you know, one of the things, if you look at all the countertops, they're not made to hold much weight.
Right.
And the difference in weight between plexiglass and glass is 5-6
Considerable.
times more. So I think design-wise, you need to start out with plexiglass.
Yeah, yeah.
Because none of the countertops are meant to hold weight to this, for decoration mostly.
Right. No, I was getting more on, I agree with starting off with plexiglass. I don't think we need to spend any more money than we need to. It's just, I would, say the office gets a remodel, is this still adaptable to put, and
Doesn't
then
look like it.
make it more secure? That's where I was going.
If life gets that bad, we should shut the courthouse. I mean.
Well, you know, we continually have to try to adapt a 100-year-old building to today's technology, and it's challenging for all the departments.
And we have met with a security person. All of that kind of got put on hold a little bit, but the sheriff and I did meet with a security person to come up with some potential specifications for security for the courthouse. But none of those options involved each office having an entrance with the bulletproof glass or any of those kind of things, because it would be too expensive. So that was not one of the things that we really considered at this point. But even having some sort of a barrier is good,
So I think we kind of are swaying to a different subject matter at all. We're talking about a sneeze thing right now to protect them from viruses,
Mhm.
rather than, and so if
This is a health issue
Right.
and not a protection against bullets and knives.
No.
So on these units, if we do get approval and we let him know this morning, he was gonna go and start looking for materials, because he's a little concerned that, they're gonna be hard to get pretty quickly. So, and he feels like he could have everything done within a week except the treasures, and that would be, there's a 2-week lead time on the tempered glass. So theirs would not be, he could potentially do something temporary for them and then put the tempered glass in once it's available. But he's already researched all of those.
So I'm gonna ask the question, I see the design, but would metal not be cheaper or better, more lightweight? Like a window frame, you know, like if you have storm windows, you can put them in and out?
Yeah, it'd have to be aluminum. I mean,
Oh, aluminum, I'm
steel,
sorry,
steel would
okay.
get pretty heavy.
Yeah, aluminum is very lightweight. Would a design of that be less? You could even buy storm windows, shall we say, and just put a thing on the bottom. I mean, I'm just guessing, but I know storm windows are expensive. But I'm just saying, and they wouldn't be as massive as that is.
But we want it to be.
Well, you don't want the frame to be massive, you want the protection to be massive.
Yeah, and this is just one of the smaller ones. There's some of them in there that they're 80
But the
by
design is
36.
gonna be the same.
I mean, some of them are going to hold almost the equivalent of a sheet of plywood. I mean,
And you know, it's funny because I'm looking at this thing, and when I went to the grocery store in Salina the other day, and I see they have the plexiglass there. And some of them, as you're walking in, and there's the checker right there, they got a little thing like this. Well, I mean, you can see her from here, and you can see her from there, and all that stuff, so what good is it? But then other stores that I went to, it was actually much larger and broad, you know, like before you got to her register is where it would have started, and then a little bit past the checkout area, just where you could pay, was by far more effective, and that's just the little things that I'm picking up, which, if the point is to protect the employees, then it needs to be to a point to where it's gonna protect the employee, rather than just have this big bulky thing sitting on the counter.
well, that's just it. I think it was one of the smaller items.
They have taken measurements, some of them would be a lot longer. It just depends on the size of the space that
The desk, too, that
is
it has to sit
available.
on.
Right, exactly, and they have come and done the measurements. I would propose if you move forward with this, that we would pay it out of risk management. That's where we have been paying the other COVID expenses from, so that when we do receive a reimbursement, that it is easily trackable. This is something that we would submit for reimbursement, because it is not something we would do without this type of situation, so. I did look at some other, you know, there is a design, there's a place in Missouri that's making them just out of plexiglass. It's a little bit, it doesn't have a wood frame, it's just like, but they're
curved.
pretty expensive, and I think that it would take a long time to get them. So, I did have that, but that was about the only other.
No, I've seen those, and this is definitely a better design than those. Randy, do you have anything to add to the conversation?
Well, I think I'd like to direct it to Tina, and maybe she said that to start with and I didn't catch it. Nothing from any of the manufacturers of the tables or our desks that we have to go above the counters with a glass design. There's nothing available.
I did not go that far, because I had the contractor contacted me, and so that's the way we went. Because it would be quicker,
Okay.
and generally all of those, I can still check with the furniture companies, but everybody has a different one,
It'd take you 6 weeks to get
and
it.
we wouldn't be able to get them
Yeah.
quickly. And I'm pretty sure it'd be more expensive if they have them.
What Diane said about the frame wise and stuff, I just can envision that you could probably get the same color as your desk. You could probably get a metal frame up there that you would not have the wood. Yeah, 6 weeks. I'm not going to say that's probably even dreaming of that. And there's $10,000, but I want it to look nice. I've seen things done in small towns that did accomplish the job, but yet it looks, in my viewpoints, don't look good. I'd like to,
Go to him price.
especially being in the county where everybody sees it, I'd like it to look as manufactured as possible. So if there's nothing there, I mean, if we're not gonna look, fine, that makes me no difference, but I think that's something we should look at.
Okay, I can do that, that's not a problem. It's just a matter of, if you're planning on opening the building to the public in the next 2 weeks, we will be completely unprotected
Yeah, I think
if we don't do something.
Yeah,
And so
we're-
that's what I was trying to do, is to prepare us
Yeah.
to be able to move forward as the commission wishes, with at least some basic protection for the public and the employees. And I know it's not the most beautiful thing, but it could be done and it could be ready. And so that's
It doesn't
where I
look
was.
bad.
We need to follow our own lead. We're encouraging our small businesses to
Locally.
prepare, and we need to be prepared.
So I would also say we just bought masks, and I understand they're gonna be here, so would we not, that would protect our employees if we give them masks?
It doesn't protect the employees. It
No.
protects your people from coming in from your employees.
Okay, all right.
It's the other way around. You would have to order them to wear masks
Okay,
when
so I
entering
guess
into the
my
building.
final thought would be, if this is a temporary thing, just to hurry up and get us through real quick, I'm fine with it. But, I mean, that's $10,000 in taxpayer money.
I'm not looking
That's not gonna be
for a
long term.
temporary. I would like to see it stay in place.
I just think it degrades, I mean,
And
okay,
Chris
that's
Brown
fine,
does
I
great
just
work.
really think
Yeah.
it's gone.
I mean, you'll probably
Myself.
find him smooth down the edges a little bit. I'm sure this was just thrown together.
Yeah, I'm
quickly.
sure he
Within
put it
2 days, he
together.
had it ready.
But then the more you do that, the more the cost is gonna go up, cause time is money. When you're talking about a carpenter's time is money.
Yeah, it is. You're right. But he does take pride in his work, so
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that.
this was just.
If I was gonna put a painting in it or something, fine, but I mean, for what we're looking for, I just think it's not gonna beautify the courthouse, shall I say, in my opinion. But
It's
I'm
for
gonna leave.
protection.
I can see it working pretty well in some places, cause you're not gonna see the back sides of them sometimes, and they're gonna be up against the wall, they're gonna be butted up to another one. It's adaptable, it's just,
In light of what we're facing, looking at this phase 1 coming soon, I'm gonna go ahead and make a motion that we purchase the sneeze guards, out of risk management, amount of $10,317.
I'll second it.
got a motion by Kent, second by Dave. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna vote aye, but I'm very hesitant on them. I just think it's money spent quickly, foolishly. It's not benefiting in the long term.
Right.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Okay. All right. Maybe went a little longer than we needed to, but,
Sorry about that.
yeah, let's,
That was all I had.
all right, so I believe it is Gayla, or the Department of Aging. Is Gayla on the?
She was earlier.
Gayla, can you hear us?
I don't know if she's on anymore.
Okay. Let's Bryce on. We'll skip to Bryce and go back to Gayla if she gets back on.
Bryce is on.
Okay.
Have some.
I'm here.
Here are the area fuel bids for everyone.
Okay.
And then there is a road crossing permit that he'll want to go over, so there's just one of
Okay.
those.
All right, Bryce, we got your area fuel bids for,
Yeah, co-op was red low in all 3 areas. I'd like to recommend approval for them.
I will make a motion
Oh, wait a
to
minute,
accept
here's another one.
the recommendation of Bryce.
See prices like that for paper.
It's the 70s. But anyway, I will make a motion to accept the recommendation to go with Cooperative Grain and Supply by Bryce at a total of $4,700.
Second.
Is that a second by Ken?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That's simple. Okay, then there is, Bryce is going to have a permit authorization on 4 Tri-County Telephone. Trying to see, at the intersection of Highway 56 and Remington Road. I'll let you take that, Bryce. Just tell us what we're looking at here.
Basically, they're tying on to an existing vault coming across Highway 56, so they'll have KDOT involved. going down through the road. I have no problem with it. I made a note on there that they maintain at least 36 inch deep, with the line, so that, we don't have any problems in the future if we may do some work in those areas.
So your recommendation would be to go ahead and approve?
Yes.
Okay, I'll make a recommendation to go ahead and approve the permit number 2020-5.
A motion, make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve 2020-5 permit for Tri-County Telephone and their easements.
I'll second.
Got a second by Diane. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0.
Okay, we need to sign.
I think that's all we had for Bryce.
Well, you-
Oh, I've got something.
I had,
Yeah.
had two things real quick, that came up. Jesse and I sat down with, Josh and Brandy with the weed department. We were talking about, spraying for this year. And, Josh and I have come up with an idea that just wanted to pass across to you. I don't think it'd be a problem, but just want to let you know that, he's in favor of it, and we would like to use it also, is to transfer the big red spray truck over to our department, so we'd be able to use it a little more. We have more people to be able to use it, obviously with the same requirements for spraying and stuff like that, but just to have the formal transfer to bring that over to our department, so we'd be able to use it a little bit better. So I didn't know if the commission would have a problem with that or not.
Is that the regular truck that they spray with?
It's not the new one. It's
They
the old one.
Oh, old one, okay.
That's the big red one. They haven't sprayed with it in quite a few years.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, it was a
Due
yellow.
to,
Okay.
whatever those reasons are.
There needs to be a motion for that transfer, I'll make it.
What's that transfer include? Is that does Road and Bridge transfer,
Inventory.
out of one budget to the other? Is there
One
any?
inventory to another.
Yeah, but is it just a complete loss to, solid waste and then complete gain for Road and Bridge?
Yeah, there wouldn't be a monetary exchange between departments, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
No, it would just be an inventory transfer.
Okay. Then,
Yep.
then we would need to change the decals on the spray truck to
Yeah, they have
reflect
the
Road and
new
Bridge.
logo on there, so all we have to do is get rid of the weed department, put Road and Bridge below it.
Okay. Don't want Josh having to ask,
Chairman?
answer, yes.
I'd like to ask the commission, why hasn't the truck been used? That's sort of new to me. I thought that truck was being used, and what do we do, just spraying with a pickup now, and I don't know. I think it's a commission question to take a look why it hasn't been used.
That's a good
That
question.
comment really bugs me.
That's a very good question.
Ready? Josh? or
Then
somebody?
we need to get back on that.
Yeah, I think we should follow that up on that with Josh, but, I don't know that,
You made a thing
well,
Before his time.
of that.
well,
Yeah,
yeah,
Brandy might.
Yeah.
She would.
well,
And another advantage, to us is it does have the bigger water tank on it, so, we could use it as another water tank for us also, whether it's spraying or, whatever the case may be, so that's another good advantage for us, but again, that's a question I don't have an answer for that, we were just looking at the transfer.
yeah.
Had somebody made a motion already?
I did.
Okay, so we probably need to deal with that motion if the commission is
Is there a
not.
second?
Second, Diane seconded.
No, I didn't
Oh, yeah,
second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, Dave seconds it. Now that we've had lots of discussion, is there any other discussion?
Yes, I think that's such a valid point of Randy's. I think really, we have departments buying these equipment and then we don't use them. I know Road and Bridge has a lot of equipment that we haven't used in a long time. Maybe we really need to maybe scrutinize some of this equipment in all the departments that we're buying. If we're not gonna use it, then why are we buying it or having it? I mean, that's such a good point that I just think that we need to follow that up in different aspects.
Yeah, so,
The aspect, Diane, thank you, the aspect that I'd like to see is, I've sat in the commission for many years, and I know we can't cover the whole county, but, the county was divided into 4 quadrants, and a map was brought into us monthly to see that we was spraying some of our county, the non-rock roads, but some of the dirt roads for vineweed and all kinds of other things. And that was part of you know, the weed department's job. And so, to me, I have to evaluate what my weed department does. And I think under some last administration, maybe some of that sort of dropped aside. And where do we want to go with it? I mean, we're assigned to do as part of it, most of the county. If it can be done with a pickup truck, maybe that's where they're headed, because it's easier. I don't know. It is a big truck, and but I can tell you, a past commissioner sat in that truck for many summers and sprayed this county in quadrants. I mean, did certain areas, and then the commission was alerted of what areas had been touched as a general area. So I think there's some past history here being put aside and moving on, and where do we go?
well, I just, is there any other discussion?
Maybe we can bring in, is Brandy, is she working again? She's kind of been doing the spring again,
Yeah.
she last.
Yeah, but you want
With
Josh.
Yeah, I just,
But, you
Josh, I
know,
don't think
Josh,
he has much
we
history.
gotta keep in mind, Josh is still new at this, and
Right.
he's trying to pick up the torch.
Yes.
He's trying to do his
Yes.
best, it's just, he hasn't
Right.
had every experience come across his desk yet, so.
Right.
Okay, so you'll need to,
So at this point, the motion on the table is to go ahead and approve the transfer, that item only. Seconded by Dave. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
4-1.
Okay, the only other thing I had, and it was my, I didn't follow up with you guys, is we have to submit our cost share application for both the Nighthawk, road reconstruction as well as 330th. We sent out a copy of our, application last year with a cover letter from me, basically to the school districts and, places like that to, have them submit back to us, letters of support. And I forgot to follow up with you guys, but, we've received about, I think like 5 or 6 of them now, for the 330th project. And we were still trying to get more, obviously the more we turn in, the better it makes our selection of, chances. But, just letting us out there, it's actually on the, Marion County website, right on the initial, page, as well as on our road page also, talking about what we need to do, and we request that they send them back to us so we can send it all in at one time. So just more information that if anyone is interested, please get that to us by the end of the week. We've got until like May, the middle of May to get it turned in, but I like to make sure to get it all turned in early so we get it all in there. So otherwise, that's it.
Okay.
I had a couple things, Bryce.
Okay?
Road oil. I don't know, I mean, is that going to be, the price on that gonna be so low that we need to buy more of it, or?
Actually, based on what I'm hearing, the price isn't falling as much as what you thought it would, like diesel and everything else. And that's simply because they're not processing as much crude, so therefore, they're not, there's really no change on that because people have contracted most of the oil already. And, so you have to pay the contract price even though it's fallen. I mean, to say that it's fallen, crude oil has, but that price, I've checked with several different people, and that is, so really the price hadn't dropped like you thought it would, so we're still kinda in the same budget.
All right. My next question, and this is for the commission, in light of, budget forecasts, revenue streams, our own county liquidity. I know it wasn't a huge purchase last week, but, I think in order to, continue to try to maintain some kind of reserves, I'd like to put our purchase last week on a lease, 5-year lease purchase. We already see counties and states around the country that are talking about bankruptcy. And that, my guess is those are counties and states that did not maintain adequate reserves.
I guess I would approach it more from a slow down buying anything else for a minute.
Well, I mean, that's something to look at, but we did make the purchase last week, and so I would highly recommend that we go ahead and put it on a lease purchase.
We're not getting into the reserves for that purchase, that comes out of his.
Comes out of his budget, but it's just money that's not spent.
What he's
I
going
got
on
that,
is
but-
next year we're going to have to cash
And
forward.
it's only $50,000 if I remember correctly, give or take, and so.
It's quite a bit
I
of
just think
gravel.
we're encumbering.
That'd be enough to buy
we're encumbering money
A new
going
pickup or
forward.
something, too.
That also ties our hands, so I wouldn't be in favor of that, but.
I'd just go ahead
Well,
and make
I
it.
guess,
Go ahead,
let
Russ.
me offer this. I know we've already sent that information through, and it was getting ready to be processed, for signature. So, and I do appreciate that. Part of the reason why I asked was that was almost all the money that I had left, that I had saved from last year selling equipment. And to answer your question, Diane, and the rest of the commission, there's actually some equipment that I am, interested in trying to get rid of too, because we're not using. It's an asset to us, but basically if we're not using it, it just becomes a liability that, we could be sending it on to someone else and getting some money back for it. But, I do appreciate that. I will say that, as far as I know, we've basically taken the stance, whatever else, that we probably will not be getting any, major investments in equipment the rest of the year, unless things drastically change. So I definitely understand that. But, like I said, right now it's being sent through just with a standard check payment, unless you want to change that.
That's my recommendation. I'm just bringing it up to the commission.
I kinda feel, we can't, he's dealt in finances and interests and banking his whole life, so I would follow his lead, his advice on this.
Yeah.
Cap, what are you looking for, 3 or 5 years, or what, you said 5?
Yeah, well, it could be 3, could be 5. I mean, I think we need to maintain as much liquidity as we can. I mean, I think these revenue numbers are gonna be ugly.
What is the interest rate right now?
I think you could probably get a 2.5% lease purchase, something like that.
You'd have to put that out for bids,
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
fine.
that would slow down the process of buying it.
2 weeks.
And then you're increasing the cost.
Well,
Yeah, but
some
I
thought
don't know.
here.
I go back
is-
to the budgetary process.
Done it before, went out and purchased a truck before, and then turned around and thought, maybe we should have put that under a lease deal. And we were able to turn that around and take that amount. Are we able to do something like that at the county? Because I don't wanna delay him getting work done.
Yes,
So-
we can purchase and do the bids for the lease
Yeah, and
purchase
then-
and then have them
right,
pay the county.
Right,
Okay,
we've done that before.
yeah.
So we can leave it moving forward so that he can go
No, it
ahead
wouldn't have
and
to.
get it. Okay. That's, so I mean, a discussion for, that way the discussion isn't over, I'll just say it that way.
Yeah.
You okay with that, Randy? It's, look,
I'm puzzled here, and we need to take a look at equipment. And when was the last new grader? Even purchased a used grader that sometimes comes out of a program that we can pick up at a lot cheaper price than a new one. And so this commission when I come in, was sort of in that position to where we had a lot of 20,000-hour machines. And if we're gonna build our roads and do our roads, we gotta have a grader. And that means continually to purchase at least one every other year or something like that. And I don't know when the last one we purchased was. So just keep in mind, Commission, that some of the stuff that's somewhere have to out of that budget of the money that we have. And we usually do purchase them on a lease purchase payment, like Kent's talking about. And that way we can sort of set aside when one goes off, another one can come on. And I don't know exactly where we're at with that either, so I need to look at that again. But
I believe our last maintainer was the one that Caterpillar let us use for several months. Demonstrator, and then we bought that. What was that, the year before last?
Last year or the year before. So
It may have been 2 years already.
We're not too far behind in buying
Yeah.
one, for sure.
That was the all-wheel drive Caterpillar,
Yeah.
120 that we purchased. But, I mean, I understand what you're saying, but we'll definitely work with that.
there's a couple of items, I don't know, Bryce, if you can see the chat box.
Yes.
Could you address the two items by Linda?
I don't see.
Yeah, I saw those, and honestly, I don't know, I guess I was not aware of that there was a problem with that. I mean,
I don't know what the question
it's very
is.
obvious it hasn't been done, but because that's what we're trying to get ahead of is that stuff growing in the ditches. But I will do some more checking on it and, follow up with whoever it may be, whether it's Bud or whether it's Jesse or whoever else, but.
So the question,
Yeah,
is-
we had the questions read.
yeah, I'll read the question,
Thank you.
okay? So there was a question that was said, so is the county going back to spraying the county roads? As it was stated, the county was not spraying roads because of liability issues. And then, they have not done this for several years. When we asked, they said they were not doing this anymore. But that would be the weed department generally.
Yeah, that'd be the weed
not
department,
Road and
but
Bridge.
the transfer on the truck is what this goes back to, and Bryce has other needs for that, as far as wetting down the road, so that the gravel sticks and doesn't just kick off the road. He's got other reasons for needing a water truck.
I've seen there was quite a few other ones. Will we get to those when the time comes? They're not related to what we were discussing.
What other?
I should have
Jonah
figured-
has been answering those as we went along.
Yeah,
Oh, I haven't even heard
So-
you say that it was a question.
no, I've been bringing it up, not,
Not saying that it's a calling question, you're just bringing the subject up?
yep, just handling it as it comes.
Okay, I'd like to have it read so I know what you're talking, or who's saying, or who's asking.
Okay.
So can I ask the question that's unrelated to what we're talking about to Bryce? Just two quick questions?
Yeah, this is Bryce's.
Bryce, I just wanna do a follow-up on two very quick things. And I just haven't been following. Have you got the decal on your truck? I assume you have?
You can see it out the window.
Yeah.
here.
Okay, I'm not sitting over there, so I didn't see it out the window. Okay, well, thank you.
Oh, it's been on there for 2-3 weeks now.
Okay, and I never asked a question, so I didn't know, I just assumed it was done, I was just confirming. And then secondly, I was just wondering too, I was thinking, on your license as an engineer and stuff, are you in the process of getting that renewed? Isn't that soon coming up for renewal?
Its
He
executive
hasn't
order
done.
has actually pushed it. He
It's
has it done?
Yeah,
It's
we have
done?
a copy in his personnel file.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
cause
if
I
he
knew
did,
that was something that was also pending. Well, then I guess you're caught up, thank you.
yeah, I was just gonna allude to that, on the executive order is actually allowing for licenses to be pushed out so that they can lapse through this time period.
Oh, I see, so it's not been renewed, it's just been extended.
No, he's got his done.
No,
He's-
that is, I can tell you almost industry-wide, that is, one of the biggest things that engineers look at is they never let that lapse, because then you lose it, and you have to start all over, so.
Yeah, well,
Okay,
that-
so-
That's not gonna happen.
I'm saying for other licensed individuals, nursing, everything else, right now, there's an executive order that says
CDO licenses.
that they can wait to have their stuff renewed.
Okay, I got that, but that's not your case, right, Bryce?
No, he has
That's
his
what you're
done.
telling me?
No,
That's-
I'm totally done and up to date.
Okay, that's good, I just
That's
wanted to
on-
clarify that.
Actually.
I was a little confused on what we're talking about there. Okay, thanks.
Is that it?
We need a motion for the,
Bryce,
Yeah.
I'll give you a call later. I had a call this weekend of some roads, of a couple, I think it has 3 locations. And, I'll give you a call later that what tag is addressed, see if it's been addressed or what's happened with it.
Yep, no problem.
I got a list too, Bryce. I'll call you later.
Sounds good.
so do we need a motion?
All right.
to
So I don't
investigate
have a
lease
list,
purchase?
Bryce, I don't have a list this week.
Okay. Well, I'm sure
If
yeah, we
there's been a
definitely
motion
are keeping
on the
busy
table.
with Rob.
I'd like to
Yes,
make one.
you have been doing good up in my area, as far as I haven't heard anything, so I assume no news is good news.
Yeah.
Okay, Dave
Yeah.
would like to have the floor for a second.
I'd like to make a motion that we get bids on lease purchase on the
Tractor mower.
tractor mower around the $50,000 range. We approved last week.
How many years? 3 and 5?
Look at 3 and 5 years.
You wanted to bid both, is that what you're saying?
It's up to the commission how long, you know.
Well, I'm just
Motion.
asking, so is the motion that on each piece of equipment, we seek a bid for 3 and 5 years?
Yes.
Okay.
It's got to be apples to apples.
Can the lease include 2 pieces of equipment rather than have 2 leases? We could have 1 lease?
We never have, but we can sure try that.
I mean, I just,
Yeah, however it has to be.
The
It's-
purchase, yeah.
it-
What does the banker would like,
I don't think the banks care.
For the
They're just
tractor,
bidding- They're just bidding on that money.
tractor and the flail
Yeah, we need to.
mower.
Yep.
But if they're on one lease, and then if something goes wrong with one, will that complicate?
We have never joined them together in the
It
past, just
doesn't, it
be-
sounds kinda
But-
convoluted to me, but.
I mean, it's equipment, and
So-
banks are saying, we're gonna bid on this equipment. They're
Yeah,
not
they just-
saying, we're gonna bid on this tractor and this, they could care less.
So we have a
We can
motion.
hear
So if they can put them together, what, I think it.
We have a motion on the table for, lease purchase, for both 3 and 5 years for the tractor and flail mower.
Second.
We have a motion by Dave, a second by Kent. Is there any other discussion?
I think it's foolish.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Aye.
okay. Gayla had said that
Yeah.
she is on, so I'll see if there's,
Go ahead and move back to Gayla. Thank you for your time, Bryce. He's gone already. He's got work to do.
I told him he could leave.
Gayla, can you hear us?
I can hear you, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. All right, well, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I just wanted to report, as you can see on my report, that, how many federal and state that we've done so far this year. And then once this, executive order is, lifted, then we'll try to finish up any one that we've missed so far. I'm still continuing to do homestead for people. They're calling in, giving me their information, and I'm doing that online for them. I'm thinking about going ahead and running another community news release this week, just to try to capture others that are still needing that done. And I know that usually this time of year, when second half of taxes are due, in the past, Janine has sent people over to talk to us because they're needing help with their homestead, getting that paid for. So I'm hoping by running that ad in the paper, maybe can capture some of those people with the income guideline and that kind of thing. And
also we'll be able to help them this year because the deadline has been, extended till July 15. Last week, the office here was very busy. On Tuesday, we distributed commodities for people who met the income guidelines, and then our disaster food came on Wednesday. And just a special thanks to Bryce and his crew for letting us come up and distributing those disaster food boxes out of the Road Bridge barn, so we didn't get rained on. And then we distributed those disaster boxes on Friday for Marion and Durham residents. The disaster boxes aren't just packaged boxes, but they are items kind of like our commodities come. And so we have to box all of those up into boxes. So I kind of provided you with some numbers that we've done to the various communities, and then I also heard back from a few more here this morning. Florence did 40, Gospel did 12, and Hillsborough did 2. I still have about 14 boxes left. They're not full boxes with about 6 items here at the Marion Senior Center, so I'm just trying to figure out how to best distribute those items because they're not complete boxes, so they're more items to supplement a meal rather than to make a full meal for a family. The amount that we have gotten, the amount that we got for the disaster boxes was about the same amount of food that we generally get for commodities. So it wasn't like we got more food because of the disaster boxes, which in one sense is okay because the reason why it's okay is because just being able to provide the space to put them in, that kind of thing. And just like
Losing you, Gayla. Breaking up. Gayla?
Lost.
Oh, somebody's using some Lysol. Or is that water?
No, it's Lysol.
Oh,
They're
wow.
spraying the mail down out there.
Wow. Okay. All right, so everybody has had the time to look over Gayla's document. Unless anybody else needs to talk about it, and now that we've lost her on the phone, I'm going to move on. Is that okay with everybody?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Randy.
I was gonna ask Gayla something that's in relation to her department versus this next item you're gonna cover.
Mhm.
But since she's gone, I guess I can't ask her, so.
We can try to reach her back on her. I can try to reach her back,
Okay, yeah.
on the phone if
Well,
you'd like.
I think I know where he's going with it, and it's a wise.
Okay. See what we can do here.
okay, I'm back on. Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. Randy has a question for you.
She back.
Just finish up real quick.
Yes. Yeah, let her finish.
Okay,
So the state is still planning on sending in disaster food boxes again here in May. And I'm just gonna try to work on other ways of getting the word out to people so that they can find out about it. I know the first 2 weeks of, after this executive order went into place, things were kind of slow here, but here just in the past 2 weeks, it just really picked up. It seemed like those first 2 weeks, people were kind of a little bit shell shocked and weren't quite sure how they were gonna do the things that they normally do. But that has changed here in the past 2 weeks, and we still continue to sign up people for Social Security, Medicare, prescription drug enrollment, and helping people with CanCare applications. So things have changed a little bit from when this first started to presently. So that's about all I had, so I'm ready to answer any questions.
Gayla, this is Ken. I had a lady in Durham ask me why there wasn't any delivered to Durham. Do you need somebody there to handle that?
Right. The thing was that the senior center people were doing that, and then when the community center was flooded, then there wasn't any place to do that. And so so when that happened, clear back in July, then the only thing we could do is ask people to come to Durham, and people have come from Durham to pick up commodities. I know it's a little bit further distance. The reason why they're not going to Hillsborough is that when we lost the Lehigh commodity person distributing, they're now to Hillsborough, so Hillsborough is enough for that. I mean, if there's somebody who wants to do it and has a place to put them with them, I'd be glad to work with them on it. But at this point, that's kind of why they're having to come to Marion.
I was gonna say, I could try to take care of that stuff if need be. I don't know how many families actually came to get it.
Yeah, the commodities usually was around about 10 to 12 people, and so I don't know if that's what it would be for disaster boxes. I just don't know.
Well, if I need to come get some and deliver them in that area, you could let me know.
Yeah, feel free to let me know, Kayla. I'll help out.
Okay, well, part of it is, I mean, it's picking them up, but then it's also boxing them up, so you kind of need a place to do that. So, I mean, I'd be glad to work with you on that, here for the May disaster boxes. I can let you know when it's coming.
Okay.
All right, Randy had a question. I wanna make sure he gets it.
Okay, Kayla, this is Randy, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, have you been following what we've been doing with the Extension Council?
yes, I have been, and I did, last week, I did talk to Ricky. He called me just to ask me about it. And, you know, Renee, who is their, kind of the person who's kind of covering the aging in, Dickinson County, I mean, we did some things here when she was our extension agent here. We did some things together, and so I guess I don't see there being any kind of conflict. I guess what I would see is, I mean, we work well together as co-workers, and I guess I would just see that, I mean, I pretty much take care of most of the aging things here. I mean, I do in Marion County. I guess there would just be, we have talked in the past, I mean, I knew this was coming, and we have also talked in the past, you know, some of the classes that I offer, you know, we talked about how could we do that together, those kinds of things, those aging kinds of things for helping out with one another. So, I mean, I don't see an issue with it at this point.
Okay, my next point is to the commission, and we're gonna go into it here in just a little bit. I was gonna do it then, but I'd like, with Gayla being right here, is maybe we take our department and make it part of the contract here. And, I mean, it's just turning the odds around here and making everybody even. It reduces our budget, and, making Gayla an agent for that or something, see how that could work. So that's food for thought. I've been working on that quite a bit to everybody then plays the same game. And we got one in each county that all maybe can work together like she says. So, well, Mr. Chairman, I'm done. I just want you to know that that's where we'll be in the next issue when we bring it up.
Yeah, no, I think those thoughts are very well thought out. I just wonder if it isn't almost to keep them separate, to where the Department of Aging is a separate district between the two counties, rather than rolling it all up into one. Not
I
sure.
guess I would just say, it's very unfortunate because Dickinson County did have a Department on Aging, and when that person retired, she told the commissioners that there wasn't a need for it. I found that kind of interesting. I mean, it just seems like, you have more people aging all the time who are in need of services and information and direction and that kind of thing, and so I was surprised by that. So, I was aware that when there was an issue in Dickinson County that there was a hole, because those services were no longer being offered, that they then, the county commissioners in Dickinson approached the extension agency about picking up some of those responsibilities.
Well, Bernard, that means another county commissioner has done the same thing, has looked at it this way, so maybe we ought to open our eyes up.
Okay. Well, I guess if, maybe it wouldn't hurt Gayla to stay on. Let's move on to Ricky Roberts.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, I'm here, if you're waiting on me. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Well, as Gayla said, that she and I did meet about this, and in regards to that paragraph then, we added the sentence there that you can see that this person will coordinate with the Gala to meet those assistance needs for that group. As she stated, I think that she and Renee already have a pre-existing relationship, and I don't think that it would be difficult for them to work together on that. I guess the other thing that I'd like to add, though, if I can, I came here to Marion County in 2001, and in that time, I've always been a part of a team of two here, okay? Because of personnel problems, sometimes it was a team of one, but for the most part, it's always a team of two, and whether we're trying to do work with pine trees or farm finance or doing work at nutrition work at elementary schools or the food bank or to provide the best program we can for the 4-H youth. I will tell you that when we move into the district and I have a chance now to be with a team of 6 specialized agents, I would submit to you that's something that Marion County will benefit from forever. And I really, that shouldn't be a concern of whether or not we're going to get benefit of that. We're going to pick up here, we're going to pick up 4 specialized agents in this district. So I think that's something that will benefit all of us here.
Is it 4, Ricky? I thought that was just 3.
They're a 4-agent county up there, okay? Whenever the county commissioners of Dixon County approached Extension up there to pick up those responsibilities around the Department of Aging, they did pick up a 4th agent. So they're a 4-agent county and we're a 2, okay?
Okay.
And as a district, we would have 6 agents.
Where I picked that up, I thought I figured it out in the document.
Ricky, this is Ken.
Yes, sir.
Your board, they voted unanimously to favor doing this, didn't they?
Yes, that is correct, Ken.
Okay.
It's, and I have, I know I have at least one board member on here that I believe that is listening, but,
I'm just trying to find where I thought I seen 3.
it, from an extension and a quality of programming standpoint, it just needs to be done. And obviously, if you go back to, there had been before the first of the year, it's something that you see is happening all across the state too, Kent.
Yeah.
This is not anything new. And I believe there's a reason why it is even continuing to gain in popularity.
Understood.
This is Jill in Dickinson County. I'm the local unit director for the extension office, and I was gonna address Jonah's question
Yeah.
about in the agreement where it shows us as a 3-agent county,
Mm-hmm.
which would be, section 3A1. And that's the section that spells out how, agents are funded. And so within Dickinson County, from K-State Research and Extension, we are designated as a 3-agent county, which means that they provide financial support for 3 agents. Our 4th agent has been a completely county-funded position. And so that's why the document reads this way, because it outlines what the funding has been from Kansas State University for that position. And so we are able to have that position, and it is recognized by the university as an agent position, but it is one that we do not receive state funding for. It's one that has been county funded.
How will that be going forward? I mean, is the 2 mills going to cover that position?
Yes, it will. Yes, it will, Jonah.
Okay.
What we've calculated so far includes what it costs for that agent, and so that's been included in the calculations of what it would be as a district. So all 6 agents have been accounted for in our budgets thus far.
That is correct.
All right, well, thank you for that. That clears up some stuff in my head. I knew I seen 3.
You feel better now.
I knew I seen 3.
I'll still get that
Oh,
covered.
yeah, they should have made that clear. I know. Thank you, Jill, for helping me there.
I guess,
So what funding will be headed towards out of this program, Ricky? What will be headed towards, that agent for their county for that then?
I count, no, what I have budgeted now, counted from the university, the district will receive, $81,000 from the state for that. And like I said, that, how you break that out, it's from 2 agents, here, $35,000 worth from Marion County, and another about $46,000 from the Dixon County agents. So total from the state, we've received a little over $81,000 is what I have in my budget projections that I've done. If that.
Bottom line then is decreasing Dickinson County's budget for aging. No?
Well, that was something you'd have to visit with their commissioners. That was something they did, whatever, 2 or 3 years ago, Randy. And I mean, we weren't part of that discussion. But anyway, that was something that they did. I said, I think, Jill, what was that, 3 years ago, Jill, too? When did that happen?
Yes, I believe that would be 3 years ago.
okay.
To me, it's a pretty easy question, is if we was to do something like that, would we receive, would we put our agent over there and have another agent, maybe become a 7-agent county then, but we'd receive funding from the state? For part of it?
No, we would not receive funding from the state.
No, I think Ricky first.
35,000 for Marion County.
That would be for the 2 agents in Marion County.
When Ricky first presented this to us, you know, I did the math pretty quickly as far as the mills. But it would be a $22,000 increase on Marion County, I believe. That's what I think it breaks out to. I mean,
When you look at the mill equivalency, Jonah, yes.
Yeah, so as long as everybody knows that, that's what we're talking about here. And I typically come from the camp of better efficiency is worth the money. So I guess, unless anybody else has anything else to say, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve
Wait a
this
minute,
contract.
I have another discussion here.
Okay.
What in the contract here, we've been told when we've gone through all the conversations the last few years, is a cap level. But when you create this new board, it's not a cap. The board can raise that cap
No,
in the stipend. No.
no. If that was going to be raised, we'd have to come back for your permission to do that, Randy.
Okay, I read the paragraph where it was talking about the board could raise it. That's where I was reading it.
Right,
I don't remember exactly.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. We can't go above the 2. We don't have to come back for your approval to do that.
Okay.
It would have to be approved by both, boards of county commissioners in order to raise that. This is true.
County Commission
Okay.
boards, yes.
Okay.
It
This
is
is
that.
Jill again in Dickinson County. Randy, if I could address one of your questions about, potential for the Department of Aging there. There is an addition there that in that section 7 part C, that if there were needed to be local county structure addressing, if there needed to be changes in Marion County, there could be an addendum to this agreement. So your question about potentially could this happen, it's included in the operational agreement that potentially could happen in the future if it were to be a request from Marion County.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And earlier on your comment or questions there, Randy, that's what I was going to. You know, I don't foresee anything, but it is something to be looked at like insurance. I mean, so. All right, I'm gonna go back to my motion of approving this agreement with Dickinson County, the Extension Council, the extension of Kansas State University, on redistricting the extension agency.
Just the extension district operational agreement.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second by Diane. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? 5-0. I believe Randy was an aye. Correct, Randy?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay. Ready to sign that one? Okay. All right, well, I'd really like to say thank you to Ricky and to, is it Jill? For
Yes.
helping iron some of those things out. It was, and Gayla, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The new one, and have you signed it? This was the previous week's one.
Okay, so, Ricky, do you have any other thing to add there?
Well, I will give this, I mean, I too want to say thank you for that. We will be, then one of the things that will happen now is that now this information will all get submitted, to the Attorney General's office. The way the law reads is that governing board, you all will appoint the first 4 people to serve on that board, from Marion County. I'm assuming then that I could give you some names that you could appoint. Is that how you would like that to be handled?
Both ways, I think we would want, your recommendations are always weighed heavily, but, you know, there are others.
There are others. Yes. Okay. But anyway, so we'll be coming forward with that in the coming weeks at some point. So thank you all very much.
All right, thank you, Rick. All right, at this time, I have not seen any more public comments come through on the chat, other than the ones that have been addressed as we've been going. So I'm going to close the public comments. So we'll take no more public comments. I'm going to close the chat box. We're good? You didn't see anything I didn't see?
No.
Okay. All right, now we're on to commission comments. I don't know. I don't really have anything this week, which is kind of a surprise.
This comment about the future, and that we just need to be aware of what's going on, and it's gonna be changing. I know from my experience, my life changes daily. We have new rules, new regulations, new opportunities, new problems. It's a fun world, so we just need to keep our common sense and keep looking ahead to the future.
Yes.
It's gonna get better.
I totally agree. Being proactive is gonna get us out of this and the most unscathed.
Yes, I have a comment. I have a question actually for the commission, and this is something that has been brought to my attention and asked several times. There are several people out there who don't have internet access to tune into these meetings.
I've made those requests to just what that is to get something to the clerk's office ahead of time.
What do you mean?
Public comment is not, I have something to say about every topic.
No.
You know, it is a public comment. It's the same thing that they did with the letter. I mean,
Okay, no, that's not what I'm talking about.
They have a telephone?
You haven't finished, let me finish my question.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay, so I have been talking to people who don't have computer access to even get on here and participate in the meeting, okay? Which, they do have the right to do that. We do allow the press to attend. So if we're going to allow the press to attend, we need to allow those people to attend as well, or have the meeting closed to everybody. I know in Sedgwick County, they did that. They did not allow anybody to come into the meetings because you're kind of giving privy to one person or the other.
I'm trying to remember, but there is what is this, part of the EO that allows for the virtual meetings for this time.
Question. Are these go-to-meeting?
Pardon me?
Are these go-to meetings?
Yes.
So there is, you can call in on your phone and go to the
Yes,
meeting too?
Exactly,
Okay,
so the
what do you
people
have if
can,
you have somebody that has old flip phones and
No,
stuff?
they
you
can
can
call
call
in
in.
on any phone.
You-
You could on them.
You can
Call
call
in.
in on a
Okay,
landline.
obviously
On your
they're
house
not very,
phone.
obviously they're not very knowledgeable on this type of stuff.
We're
but-
happy to walk
so
them
the
through
bu-
it if they need to be.
Yeah.
The issue with the press is it's a little bit different. They're not just the general public. And denying access to the press is something that I was advised against by our legal counsel. So if we
But
wanna
they-
make a
why
change to
can't-
that, that's a legal question.
But they could watch it here too, or go to video.
Yes, they definitely
Oh, yeah.
could,
So
absolutely.
you wouldn't be denying them,
No,
you're just keeping the safe distance,
well,
and you're treating people equal.
They
I
can
think-
listen on the end.
I heard that.
Okay.
Yep.
yeah, I think the press is a separate issue. The press can choose to be here, or can choose to stay home, depending on how they feel about the situation.
I think
If they
I-
feel that they can achieve their job remotely, they can do that. If they feel like they could get a better,
So it's about feelings?
well, for the press, they're operating a business that they're legally obligated to.
Okay, so I
keep.
understand that, but there's a way right here, which is what we do for the, under the guidelines of the governor for safety of the people, but now we're making an exception for the press. The press can get the same information by watching either that video or watching this.
The same could be said for the rest of the commission too. There only needs, I mean, we could all be remote. We could all be remote and I could come in and sign papers later.
You're separating, I'm talking about public coming in. Now,
But the
just
press
because
is
one
not
is coming
the
in
public.
under the name of press, it's still the public.
No, it's not.
Press is
Okay,
actually,
so-
It's a
all
different
right,
classification.
I will agree to disagree because I think you're incorrect. Because I know other counties have not. When they closed it to the public and went to the virtual, they closed it to all the public. So if the law in Kansas says press is exempt, obviously some people in the state of Kansas don't understand that law. I'm just saying what other counties have done. So-
Are their
We can-
meetings
we can
remote?
clear it up
I
real
mean,
fast.
are their commission
I mean, I
coming
They
together?
have, yeah, yeah.
we can go virtual.
I mean,
don't
I'm
have a
just
problem
saying, they
coming
have,
in
and
and
I
signing
will-
papers.
I will confirm what I think I'm telling you is accurate, but I can definitely confirm that it's pretty easy.
I have a question for Diane. Has the people that, have they tried dialing in on the?
I didn't ask them if they tried to dial in. The question was that one person was allowed to come in and sit, and it, just like before, is a public. And so if we're gonna allow that, then why can we not allow other people who don't have that type of knowledge or ability, or just wanna be in here? They felt as though it was being biased or singling certain people out.
And from my experience of sitting in Randy's spot right now, it's a little difficult having us in the room. It actually makes things better if we all were virtual or all are here. And I think, being fair to Randy, maybe we ought to look at moving all virtual for a little bit.
I'm not talking about the commission,
Well,
okay? I'm talking about public, two separate things.
We could actually
Allowing-
address that issue by all going virtual. This display screen on here, we could limit to 10 or less in here. That allows more of the public to be in here.
Okay, never mind, because obviously you're not understanding my question.
No,
So
I
I'll withdraw
understand
the
it.
question.
I
I'll
understand
withdraw
it.
the question, 'cause I'm not gonna.
I'm
not
saying
gonna
let's look
argue.
for a
I'm just
solution
bringing-
if we think it's a
That is a
problem.
ridiculous off the charts solution. I mean, all of us go virtual at this point when we're coming to the end of this. Talk about.
We're not- we're not-
It's not in sight yet.
The 10 or less is not gonna be lifted anytime soon, I
Yeah,
can tell
it's
you.
gonna be,
So that right now there's
so the
five
snow
of us.
flies.
There's 5 of us.
Mhm.
And if Brad comes in, there's 6. So even if we were to say we're gonna comply by the governor's order, we could allow at least 4 and then say, I'm sorry, but this is by the governor's order, okay?
If
So-
we can maintain spacing.
So then,
So-
what hypothetically, where that's gonna go is there'll be 4 people that load up this room and the press can't get in. Do you know?
You know, there's a thing saying about time length, but I'm just.
No, I'm just saying, that's
Okay, well,
opening
I'll
up.
withdraw my question.
something we don't wanna get
I'll withdraw
down.
my question.
Did you hear Tina's comment, there's not
I'll
enough
just withdraw
room?
my question, okay?
Yeah, there's not enough room.
Square feet in the room to separate everybody.
I can hear, thank you.
No, I've been watching Gossel's city council meetings and participating. I've been watching Hillsborough city council meetings and participating.
Mhm.
They're completely virtual.
Mhm. And you
Why
are
are we
exceedingly,
not?
you are exceedingly computer savvy. So, good
Well,
for you, I got that.
Why are we not? Why are we different than them?
I'm saying, you're saying that you do, you sit at your home or wherever it is you do and you watch them. Okay, good for you. There are some people out there that don't have that ability or that capability of doing that.
Well, I'm saying from the commission standpoint, the reason why we brought in those computers and kind of had that wreck of a meeting was so that everybody was prepared.
In the event that we have to do that, and right at this point in time, we don't have to do that.
Okay. I don't. As long as nobody else thinks that we need to move that way, I will leave that one alone. Anybody else's comments? Okay. call this meeting, well, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Call it over with.
Call it on. I'll second.
All right, very good. Got a motion and a second. Glad to see Randy smiling. All those in favor? Aye. Diane?
Aye.
Yeah, 5-0. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
I might just have to do one virtually.
It's a gold life, huh?
Well, I've started to figure out how you can actually take control of the screen, lead the meeting, stay on top of it from afar, so.
Florence will move their meeting up to the gym now,
Yeah,
you know, because of the distance, you know.
we could look at something, you
They had a
know.
bigger room.